My name's Thomas Waddle. This is the Whisky Sour Hour, and we're joined by Ali Robertson. How you doing?
I'm good, Thomas. How are you?
Aye, not too bad, not too bad. I really appreciate you taking the time out your hectic life to jump on with us here.
No, I appreciate you asking me on.
No,
I'm looking
brilliant.
forward to the chat.
Yeah, no, listen, it's quite exciting. Just the way it's kind of came about and stuff, it's the first kind of proper conversation over emails and stuff, and then letting it grow for there. So it's been quite it's been interesting for me because it's the first time we've done it. But you've been very gracious in offering your kind of help and support with just setting this meeting up. So no, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we got there in the end. A few technical difficulties to kick off with.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, no, definitely. But we're there and we're comfortable. So yeah, just all things going well with yourself.
Yeah, good. I mean, as you said, like busy, like multiple plates spinning in my life, just trying to keep them all spinning at a pace that I'm happy with. But it's good, can never complain. I think I'm really fortunate to be busy and to have kind of multiple plates spinning, and I'm enjoying everything that I'm doing. So yeah, it's an exciting time with a few things happening, and
super
my new song coming out and stuff like that.
Of course.
So yeah.
No, that's it. So obviously we're here. We've got your new song coming out, but We'll get to that, and I think the best thing to do is, so obviously we actually do a wee bit of research in the show here, which some people might think it's a bit crazy, but it does happen. It's not just all natural. And obviously looking back, back in 2016. The Scotsman, that's a pretty prestigious, paper to be writing about. You're in there. That's quite exciting. Building you up as a youthful 20-year-old. Is that?
That was a while ago now. Yeah.
I know. It's always one of those things. It's like post and pre-COVID. It's like what happened before those times. So
yeah.
What was that like? Was that a lot of build up to get to that point, or had you always been interested in music? Was it something you picked up in secondary? Whereabouts does the kind of love for music come from?
Yeah, I suppose where did it start? Like, I was really fortunate when I was young. To my parents were really cool, and I was fortunate enough to get a lot of opportunities when I was young and growing up. I've got two sisters, and we were always in music lessons and sports clubs and stuff like that. My parents were really my parents encouraged us to get involved in stuff like that, which was great, and I think that when you're young, you don't really know how valuable those opportunities are. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're running from one thing to the other.
No, absolutely.
And do you know what I mean? But I think with music, my mum, and this is definitely an accurate way of describing it. My mum put me through piano lessons, and put me through is definitely an accurate way of describing it. Encouraged me is maybe a more appropriate way of saying it, but yeah, it was definitely there were times that I didn't want to do it, and
held at gunpoint kind of things here.
I 100%, yeah, forced to do piano practice and stuff like that. So I was put through piano. I suppose I did piano lessons when I was younger. I started maybe halfway through primary school, but I was way more interested in football and stuff like that, and I just wanted to kick a ball around, follow my dad's footsteps. But then I started playing guitar at the end of primary school, and I don't know, man, something just switched. I think I started playing guitar. My sister, who also is very musical and who also plays piano and sings and stuff like that, she got a guitar, and my parents thought that she was kind of the more musical one, so she got a guitar, and then I ended up picking it up, and I ended up playing it, and then I kind of got guitar lessons from there. And I think from there, my guitar teacher that I had gave me Green Day. Do you remember the Dookie album? The Green Day Dookie album? No, I don't know if you know that.
No,
so
of course,
he had
absolutely.
So he had that as all the tabs, all the guitar music for that.
Nice.
And got me playing that. And I think when I started playing stuff that I knew, do you know what I mean? When I was able to play Green Day or AC/DC or Jimi Hendrix, it just totally clicked, and I became really into it.
No, listen, I think like looking back, like I always end up getting like piano covers. I like I got married last year, and jokingly was
wow,
like,
congrats.
Oh no, thank you.
Congratulations, that's class.
Well, we were like looking, we'd booked a piano and a singer, and we were like, look, what songs can we use? And I kept wanting like film scores and stuff, and my wife's like, you need to calm down with that. Like, I love Top Gun as well, but we're not coming tonight with Top Gun. I think if you're maybe given the option of things like you're saying you recognise, like obviously AC/DC, Dookie, like Green Day and stuff, it makes it much more interesting. I think I would have stuck with the music lessons if I was able to play like Pixies, Where Is My Mind in my piano constantly, because I love that now.
Yeah, 100%. I think like. But it was funny from like I think my first experience of playing music was like through those piano lessons, and I wasn't as obsessed then as I was when I started playing guitar. But when I started playing guitar, I got into bands like Green Day and AC/DC and Jimi Hendrix, but then I got into Muse, got really into them, and then I suppose from them I got back into the piano, because obviously all their stuff is really a lot of their stuff is really classical and piano influenced as well, so it kind of worked well in a feedback loop. And then my mum was more proud of me when I started playing the piano again and getting more into the classical side of things.
Oh, no,
so I was fortunate that that's the way it worked out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, like that's it. It's just sometimes it's one of those ones you just need to kind of keep working at it, and then something just clicks in your mind. Like I'd moved into a new job just after COVID, and I used to come home every night, and I hated it. And it took like maybe a month, and then just a switch just flicked in your head, and it's like, why could this not have happened the first day of? Why did it take me so long to like grind out, and almost like be crying every
totally,
night?
Man. yeah, totally, man. It's strange. Like I do think there's in those situations, I suppose there's a lot to be said with like getting in your comfort zone and getting in your stride and getting in your habit. Do you know?
Yeah.
Getting into a new habit. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard when you're starting something new and you're kind of, as you say, like grinding it out. But yeah, when something clicks and you kind of get into a rhythm, whether it be a new job or whether it be a new instrument or a new hobby or whatever, when you get into a new rhythm and you start enjoying it, and things fall into place, it's great.
So when, obviously everything's starting to click into place now, at what point do you start kind of carrying that forward and start like recording your own music and going for there? Like what brings that about?
Yeah, it's funny. I was actually thinking about that today because I knew the conversation would kind of start something like that. Do you know what, mate? I don't know. Like, and it's funny. I just from very early on, I just started writing my own songs and stuff. I don't know, because it just seemed like the natural thing for me. I think that I was learning tunes from bands that wrote their own songs, so I never had a doubt in my mind that I couldn't write my own tunes. Do you know what I mean? It just seemed like the natural thing to do. I suppose factually what happened was like I started playing guitar and I just really got into it. Things just like, it was, when you're just young and you're like obsessed with something, like that was definitely what happened to me. I was fortunate enough that I had a couple boys in my school, in primary school, who also played instruments, so we kind of formed, I suppose, the first kind of like iteration of a band. And that was at the end of primary school. And honestly, man, like throughout the whole of high school, that was just kind of what I did, was just like forming bands with folk and covering songs, and then also like writing my own songs and bringing ideas to guys and jamming out our own songs, which I'm really happy about, because I know that there are some people who like just want to be like
they just want to be
very good at very good at their instrument, which is like totally amazing, props to them. I've like been so lucky to play with some amazing musicians in my life, like 100%. But they focused on getting really good at their instrument and learning as much as they could about their instrument. With me, I think that like I just started writing songs at like a really young age, and didn't even question it. It just seemed like the natural thing to do. In terms of like recording my own stuff, again, I was talking earlier on about like I got into the guitar through bands like AC/DC and Green Day and like Jimi Hendrix and stuff, and then I got into Muse that got me more into like playing the piano again. So I was playing kind of like they're really influenced by like there's a few kind of classical composers that they're influenced by like that I was kind of doing with my piano through school and stuff, which was fortunate. So like people like Rachmaninoff and Debussy and stuff like that. So I was doing that, getting more into the piano, and then I got like really obsessed. I don't know if you can remember do you remember the band Pendulum?
Oh, and, I went and saw them last year. Pendulum are
no way, really?
Yeah. I went and saw them when they were at the Hydro.
Unreal.
I love them. I grew up with them, so like they came out. I got Hold Your Colour in 2005, and then when I started getting into I'm starting to get into something like it's a skill. I started getting into online shopping, and I don't know why I used Tesco, and I got all the albums off Tesco. So with their new album coming out in August, I'm really excited.
I'm so happy that they're back. Like I'm so glad. I think that like
Night Party scratched an itch, but it wasn't Pendulum. Like it was a bit too dubsteppy,
Yeah, totally. I think that like Pendulum are totally their own thing, right? That like live electronica, kind of like genre mashing.
Yeah. I mean, I love them,
man.
It's
its own thing.
Oh, sorry,
yeah,
I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it, man. It was such a good gig.
I saw them a bunch. Back in the kind of like I can remember I saw them at T in the Park in 2009. It must have been.
Oh, so that would have been like in silico. So that would have been like your granite and propane nightmares would have been blasting then. So
all that. So I was right at, and it was the NME stage, so the second stage, and I was like right at the barrier, right, and I was like I shouldn't have been there. Like I was 13, and I was like I was right at the barrier. This like Pendulum like drum and bass. Huge drum and bass act with like mosh pits and crowd surfing and stuff going on behind me, and I was like, I genuinely thought I was gonna die.
You must have cool parents if they're letting you go to that at that age. They are very cool parents.
They probably did not know what the what havoc was going on that I was in the middle of, but yeah, that's class that you went to see them last year. Like,
it was. I never. Was
it good?
Yeah, it was unreal. I took my wife and I took my brother, and it was like Lauren does not like. So every band you mentioned, like Muse, like Lauren's like got 150 songs in her phone, and that is like the rotation. That is it, like with Snow Patrol, and it's like kind of think mid 2000s kind of like bands, and a lot I take that, which is fair play. We went and saw Gary Barlow the other week there. Writes all his own music, it's quality, so
at the SECC.
Yeah, the Armadillo
my mate was there. She said it was class.
It was so good. So we went and saw them, and it was just brilliant. And I'd got into, and you're probably going to roll your. I was never one for like live music till I was like maybe in my kind of early 20s, and so I missed all the opportunities to go and see them. So with them coming back, it was always one like I had like my Spotify, and it was like follow, and it was like let me know if they're ever releasing anything new and that. So when they started doing the new stuff during COVID, and then the fact the new album's coming out, when I saw it happening at the Hydro, I was like, we're going. And it's like you're saying, it's not just like drum and bass, it's like an absolute show, with just all the instruments and stuff. It's unreal. So it's very cool. You like them. So
it's funny. It's like I think that I like maybe grew up at the start of the kind of era where you didn't really listen to one genre. Do you know what I mean? I don't really think it's obviously like I remember my parents saying when they were growing up, and they would save up like 30 quid or whatever, and then like buy a record, and like you would just because of that you would kind of stay in your one lane in terms of genre, and it's like obviously not like that now with streaming and everything like that. And I think that I was at the start of that. So yeah, I mean I got really into Pendulum, and being obsessed with Pendulum got me into like production and stuff, so that
absolutely.
got me into like recording my own music and like and mucking about with synthesizers and stuff and production and everything, So it's kind of funny how, like, I did realize that, like, getting into all the acts that I was obsessed with kind of informed informed me musically. Do you know what I mean?
No, absolutely. Like, for all, like, I'm not musical really at all. It's like the kind of, you can look back at your kind of life and you see, like, kind of, you know, like linchpin kind of keystone moments, and for me, like, I got the going back to Pendulum just quickly, I got Immersion, so that was like the third kind of major album, and I remember at the time you're hitting it exactly in the head. I was like, oh, I like rock and I like Pendulum, but this is a bit too mainstream for my liking. What was I thinking, right?
Yeah.
So I got Immersion, and I'd passed my driving test, and the car didn't have a CD player, so I had to get one put in it, and I used to just drive around in this little, like, clapped out Citroen Saxo and blast that, and it like, to this day, like, I still get, like, you know, the kind of the feels whenever I hear those songs. And then so around, I would have been about the same age as you as well when you're at Tea in the Park. I was a little bit different. I was just sitting in the house playing Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and that, right, so to this day, like, electric 80s music, I think I've got every Ministry of Sound electric 80s, and, you know, like, there's people at work going, like, how old are you, like, why are you listening to that? And I'm like, it's quality, like, that's what it is. So no, you're hitting the head.
So what was the electric 80s stuff, was that on the Grand Theft Auto game?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Was that like the soundtrack for it?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Yeah, so it was Vice City, set in the 1980s. You know, you've got, like, Michael Jackson, you know, like Wang Chung. It's like the entire thing now. And then, like, I mean, I love, like, Duran and stuff. So it's like, it informs who you're going to be, and it's like, those are, like, keystone moments. I can't imagine a 12-year-old these days listening to Grand Theft Auto the same way. I'm like, I think that's crazy. You know, like, you're at Tea in the Park at, you know, like 13, or, you know. And seeing that, I think that's amazing. Like, that's such a good story.
Yeah. I mean, like, it is funny how you mention, like, kind of that Immersion album, kind of like, bringing you back to that time when you had you got your first car, or whatever. Like, it's the same for me. It was like, Immersion was like halfway through high school for me, and I can remember just me and all my mates were like obsessed with that album. I think, like, so many of my friends were obsessed with that. I'm pretty sure when that album came out, there was some stat that was like they were the most played artist on Radio 1 that year, or something like that. So they were
imagine it. Yeah,
they were just everywhere.
Oh no, I know. I remember. Yeah. I don't know why. I used to do this. And I'm not going to do it here, but I used to have a really terrible Zane Lowe impression, and I was like, number one song in the world, and it would be like, like Watercolor or Witchcraft when it came out, because I mean, it was everywhere. That was it. But sorry, just to kind of get us back, because we could talk about that all day. You get to a point, and I mean, in the article I read, it starts talking about you being with, like, Grammy musician, producer. Sorry, like, how does that kind of come about? Like, do they contact you, or is it just through what you're doing that you get in tow with, like, such talent?
Yeah. So that was kind of, I was just so lucky with that. That was that was I've released music kind of since, as you say, since like 2016, throughout the years in different forms, and that was that producer was a guy called Dave Donaldson, who's still a good mate of mine today. He very talented guy. Has worked with tons of folk, but has worked closely with I don't know if you know Craig Armstrong, who's kind of like the Glasgow-based composer, did the music for Love Actually and Moulin Rouge and stuff.
Yeah, what's the Glasgow tune, Glasgow
theme? Love theme. That's
the one. Yeah.
So Dave Donaldson worked with him, and that was kind of through a youth initiative thing at the Scottish Music Centre that's based in Glasgow. The Scottish Music Centre is still going, and it still does like tons of amazing cool stuff for and like youth initiatives for kids wanting to get into music. And one of the things they did was a tour called like Hit the Road. I'm pretty sure it's still going on now. So many Scottish artists have like come up and done that tour. So you apply for it, and then they kind of take you on a 3-date tour, in like I suppose, tour kind of in inverted commas, but it is that, you know, round Scotland to kind of give you a taster of, you know, what it's like to like be a professional musician on tour, which is such an amazing opportunity. So I did that with, again, one of my old bands, another one of my old bands that I was in. So we did that, which was great. And then they do another project, another initiative called Music Plus, it's called, that I think they still do now. That they basically just use their contacts and stuff to help you in what you want to improve on in your musical skills.
Right.
And mine was production. So they set me up a couple of one-on-ones with this guy, Dave Donaldson, and then kind of the guy from that, which is a guy called Sace Lockhart, he put me in contact with Dave, and then we ended up getting on really well. And yeah, I made a bunch of music with them from like 2016 to 2018 maybe. So we worked together for a couple of years. I was kind of more the kind of songwriter, dabbled a little bit in production, but they were kind of more like the producers there in that sense. So yeah, just really fortunate that happened, you know. Super lucky that they gave me that opportunity, and yeah, I think the bit, like, one of the best things I've learned about music, like, obviously that was when I was 20-ish, and now I'm like approaching 30-ish. And one of the best things is just like, you're always learning and you're always meeting new people and new fun people new interesting people who you can learn from as well, and you can also teach them stuff that you know. So like, I'm super lucky to have had a few cool opportunities like that, and one of the best things is meeting cool, interesting people and getting cool opportunities like that opportunity with Dave Donaldson there. So yeah, that's how that happened.
Nice, but no, I think it's just that it's amazing, you know, like, and from doing this and over such a short time compared to yourself. I mean, I dreamt about doing this for probably about a year and a half before I really like was like, right, let's do this. But I feel like, if you know, we'd spoke briefly before the podcast, and it's putting yourself out there, and you end up like manifesting what you're doing. You know, you just need to be out there constantly, like, and I don't want to be like one of these guys, you need to grind all the time, but it's just, you know, you go in and you just work away, and it's something that's just clicked, and it's something I really enjoy and I'm passionate about. You know, like, it's just crazy. And like, as I say, you've been doing it for, you know, that long now. You know, it's nearly a decade, and it's you can still feel just how passionate you are about it, which is, you know, that's incredible. And I think that's when you get to somebody like, you know, your Mick Jaggers that have been doing it for, you know, in 60 odd years. It's crazy. Yeah.
I think 100%, and I think that like the kind of like, you'll realize this, like, with what you're doing right now, which is great, by the way. I think what you're doing is class, and I really appreciate you asking me on here to do it with you. But you'll find that, I think, like, if you enjoy it and if you're passionate about it and you keep doing it, you'll find like-minded people who are passionate about it and who enjoy doing it. And like, and you mentioned like the kind of grind and the hustle there. I think like, as long as you're enjoying it and as long as you're passionate about it and you still enjoy it, it won't feel like a grind. Do you know what I mean?
It's like the words you use, but it's not. You know, grind implies like wearing down to a nub kind of stuff, and it's not like that at all. It's just, you know, it's like you're just working at it, and I don't want to say like you're trying to master your craft, but it is in a way, because I'm having to. I have no audio kind of background, and I'm learning as I go, and I've got a lot of friends who dabble, so they're like, oh no, you should do this, or this is the best way to do it. And we'd mentioned before, I was like, I'm all USB. I should have used XLR mics. See, like, you know, a year ago, I was like, what are you talking about? Like, what does that mean? So there's so many workarounds you're having to do in that. So yeah, I always tell people, just be a sponge, and if you're passionate about something, just take it in. Like, you know, everybody will tell you something, and there's usually like nuggets of helpful truths in there. So yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah 100%, mate, 100%.
Well, that kind of like obviously kind of covers your background and stuff, and obviously I told you when I first messaged you, which I've told a few people like now, like they're like, oh, how's the podcast going? How have you got on? And I'm just going to be completely transparent with you. So I'd wrote a list of people. I was like, right, I really enjoy, and I think this would be a good conversation because it's something that I'm passionate about. And I'd wrote your name down on like a list that I had. I like these are people I would love to like speak to and like help. I think the podcast would be good for both of us, and we'd go for there. And I wrote yourself down. This was maybe like 5 months ago, and
oh wow,
I've got I've got into like I enjoy a little brandy, and I got a really nice one bought for my birthday, and I didn't realise I'd any left, so I sat last week, and I Dutch courage I suppose, and I really realised I should have put more information in my message than hi, are you Ali for Ali in the Parade? But
I did, yeah.
Thank you so much for replying after 2 days, because I was like, he's probably thinking, who is this creep?
No worries at all, mate. I didn't know that you'd kind of
I've been stalking you basically is what
written
I
just that down. The reason it took so long to reply was because like it comes up as a little like requests thing. So I didn't see, I literally didn't see it for a couple of days. So
no, it's not at all.
I wasn't like leaving you hanging, but no, that's really cool. And again, I appreciate you reaching out. We were saying that before, like you never know who's
that's
listening and who's a fan of what you're doing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, so obviously I'd sent that message, and then I was like, I really should have said, by the way, like I do follow your music, and the kind of inciting instant for us was I went to a Luke Lavolpe gig, and it was yourself that was supporting at St. Luke's, which, by the way, just what a venue that is. It's so good. Like, I love St. Luke's.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Which I actually read you were playing there in 2016 as well, which is just like, what? Like, that is amazing. Like, it's so good. So like I'd went, and usually like I'll pop my head in, and if I enjoy the support, I'll stay. And I remember me and my wife to be at the time, getting there, and we just jumped in, and we stayed for the entire set straight away. It was Infatuated, like, which is a song Not Just Me About You, obviously, after listening to this. I'd kind of followed you for there, and then funnily enough, that night was the first night I ever got COVID as well, which and I thought was being very safe with my mask and stuff on, so that was back at kind of you had to do the track and trace.
Go, all that.
Oh, honestly, like the stories I've got for like that Christmas, because like my Lauren couldn't we couldn't spend Christmas together. My taste and smell had went, so I'm like, Christmas is like one of my favourite times of year, just because I love a good food, and I love a good like dinner, and I couldn't taste Christmas pudding. And then there's this like I don't know if you ever have like a blocked nose and you're just so annoyed with yourself, and you end up like just like blowing your nose as hard as you can, and it doesn't do anything, but it's like you've taken your stressing yourself, because I couldn't taste anything. I thought, well, I'm just going to have something and really hurt my mouth masochistically or whatever sadism, and I got a Vindaloo and immediately regretted that decision. So so I'd always been kind of following you for there, and then I'd lost like the Facebook page. And then it was from obviously looking for you, finding now. I'd mentioned earlier Ali in the Parade. You're everything brighter now, and from there, the planets aligned in that you're releasing new music for the first time in 2 years. So that's probably why I've kind of missed it. And it's and I'm not just saying this to blow smoke. It's quality, like it's so good. It's like I'd mentioned earlier, I love the 80s. It's like everything I want, a wee bit of kind of like synth, a wee bit of pop, a wee bit of just soul. It's brilliant.
Appreciate you saying that, mate. Really do.
No, it's Back to Life as a single. Obviously, I've already checked. I can link it to my stories and stuff, which is quality, because I'm just that kind of guy. I checked all this stuff prior. I will be sharing it, and it'll be in the stories, and probably on the. I love putting music on Instagram now, so like I'll be mixing that all in together, and Facebook and etc. But
thanks so much. Thanks so much, mate.
No, it's not at all. It's my pleasure. So when like from kind of initial inception to where we are now, how long does that kind of period take for you? If you're like in the flow state, you're able to get music going, how long does that last for you?
I mean, it is a hard one. It changes with different songs. It changes with different tunes. And to be honest, this one, Back to Life, took quite a while, but not because of like not because of the song itself, but just because of like external factors, like other stuff in life, I suppose. Kind of like, I suppose the song is inspired by like a time that I went through like quite a bit of change and quite a bit of turbulent change. I suppose, a lot of things changed and all at once, and it's just, the song is, I suppose, about my process and kind of finding my feet after that. I think everyone goes through their kind of own version of that at like some point in their life. A time when they need to get back up, and I think that it's like such a good experience, even though sometimes it can be hard. It's such a good experience for everyone to go through, because you come back like a completely different person for the better, than you were before. I suppose like when I started writing the song, I didn't really know what my relationship was with like making music anymore, if that makes sense. And I'm not meaning that to sound like dramatic. I think, like
you're questioning yourself sometimes. Like it comes up, like, am I doing the right thing here? Those downs creep in all the time. Yeah, no, I get
100%. And I think that like, sorry, on you go.
No, I was just going to say, I think it's a very relatable thing. I mean, somebody, if you've got a passion, and you're putting yourself out there, it's one of those ones. It's like sometimes I find myself, and I found it right at the beginning. Maybe the first kind of, I was like, I made a promise to myself I would do 10 episodes. I was like, who am I doing this for? And I was like, well, first of all, I'm doing it for myself. And if I can get one person to, listen and give a bit of feedback, that's it. And then it's like, I'm constantly having that battle. I've mentioned it before. One of my friends was on, who's an actor. I was like, I've really bad imposter syndrome, and I can neg myself out something chronic. And it's just about those are constant battles every day. Is that something you've faced like during your kind of time here?
Oh yeah, mate, 100%. Like, and I think that the older you get, the more you realize like everyone has those moments, And I think that I was maybe at a point with that when I suppose when I started writing Back to Life, I never had the conscious thought of like, I'm going to turn this into a song. If anything, it was kind of like from that period of time, I kind of realized that I needed to find a kind of different balance to like how I was living my life, I suppose. And I think that with that, I kind of had to question how much time I was given to like music. And do you know what I mean? I suppose I'll be like transparent in that like doing my own original music isn't my full-time job. You know what I mean?
No, of course. Yeah.
Aye. So I was talking earlier on about like spinning plates. Like I suppose for a while I maybe didn't have that balance right in terms of all the plates I was trying to spin, and in terms of like giving enough time for myself and being the best version of myself I could be, both for me and for the people around me and everything like that. So the song, this is such a long-winded way of asking a question.
Listen,
I suppose
it's what it's about. This is long form.
Yeah. So I suppose like the song did take quite a while to write, but that's because I was very conscious that like that I wanted to get the balance of my life right, because I felt like a few things were maybe out of balance. Yeah. And I didn't really go into it to write a song about it. Do you know what I mean? Like I ended up, I actually started it. I was waiting in a queue at an airport in passport control. I was coming back. I was coming back, and I was coming back from a holiday, and I was just standing on my own. And then I suppose it was maybe the start of like, I suppose my kind of recovery process from going through whatever kind of happened,
of course.
and the chorus melody line kind of came into my head, and the whole idea of coming back to life came into my head, and I'd like voice noted it down and like in like the worst possible way, you know.
just Wayne's crying in the background and you're trying to get his lyrics down, you know.
Exactly, 100%. And then I kind of thought, that could be a thing, but I didn't want to. Throughout this whole process, I said to myself that I only want to work on this song when I want to work on this song, if that makes sense. Like, I didn't want to force myself to do it for anyone else other than me. So because of that, I was it took its time because it took its time.
Aye.
I knew how I wanted it to sound, but I wanted to do it at a time that I wanted to do it. But I'm glad of that, because I did get to the point with this song where I really enjoyed making it, and I was getting super excited about mixing it, about doing all the production, and I kind of, you know, I made a mental note to myself of like you know, it's good that you're feeling excited to do this, and it's good that you're feeling proud of it and everything like that. And I'm still super proud of the tune, and I'm so glad it's out. So so it ended up being like such a positive experience for me at the end of it. Yeah.
No, absolutely. I think certainly when you're listening to it doesn't feel, you know, like you listen to like a song and it may be a great song, but it feels kind of contrived and there's a story and you're trying to weave it around the music and that. I never felt that at all. Like I was listening to it, like I'd do a kind of decent amount of travelling, you know, maybe like an hour to one of my sites and then back again. So you end up listening to like a lot of music, and I'd in the last kind of week or so I'd been, you know, getting back into it, and then obviously after the message I was like, right, and it does like, and it kind of hits all the kind of, you can tell, you know, even I like to think when you're talking to someone you can hear the passion in them. You can certainly hear it when you're listening to the song. So no, listen, I'm glad you're back, if you know, because it seems like it's taken its time, but you're in the right place for it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I appreciate that, mate. I appreciate you saying it. I appreciate you saying that, and I'm glad to be back, and I'm glad to be releasing music again. And it was so funny, like when you reached out, I hadn't released music in 2 years, and I was just doing it because I wanted to do it for me. And then when you reached out, I had a conversation with my girlfriend, and I was just like, you never know who's listening and who's actually a fan of what you do, which is so. I really appreciate you reaching out and being a fan of the tune.
I'm just going to say this because you'll be smiling though. So one of my friends, Drew, who listens, you know, every week, and he actually gives me really good feedback, and he complimented one of the last interviews I done, because he was always like, oh, you should ask this or you should ask that, and I was like, right, I'm getting there, you know, like this is a new skill. So like I think it's always good when you kind of get the kind of the feedback, and just hearing that, it's like, before I would have probably been really critical of myself, and I'm like, no, because it's growing and it's a learning experience, and I think we're always learning, you know, like it's about being able to adapt and overcome. Basically, it's just about it's constant. It's a constant battle. So you're always
learning, mate. Everyone's always learning, and everyone's always just like try to do their best. You know, I don't think like if you think about it, you're just constantly kind of going into different stages of life and going into different chapters, and you're learning new stuff in the different chapters. You're learning how to be the best, you know, you're learning how to be the best like son or daughter or brother or sister or friend, and then you're learning how to be the best partner, and then you're learning how to be, you know, potentially like the best co-worker you can be, the best like manager you can be. So you're constantly learning, and you have that cycle of kind of like, you know, learn, stop, reflect, learning. I think everyone's just trying to do their best
No, absolutely. I always think about it as like it's almost like a distilling a whiskey. It's like, you know, like I could have all these bottles. I always think of like, do you remember the numbskulls for like, I think it was a Beano, and it's all the wee things. It's like kind of like Inside Out basically, and it's like they're controlling. I always imagine there's like a kind of big like drinks cupboard in my head, and it's like this was me distilled when I was 18, 19, 20, and it's like all those things are a part of me, but I'm like more as a whole, if you get what I mean. Like I have kind of weird things in my head. So, and it's like, but then you'll hang about with, you know, your best mate, and that 18-year-old, you know, like version of you comes out, and you're just like laughing at the most like silly things, or you're reliving, you know, like a movie that you've watched back then, and it's like there's no care in the world, and then you're brought back to, you know, the kind of now, and you've got like, you know, your new music coming out, or your job, or whatever, you know, whatever it might be, and it's like it's always good having them, because it's remembering, you know, like that's who you are, and you don't want to get lost, I think, in like doing this. I'm daft for nostalgia, so like getting to talk about like it's Pendulum earlier, that was totally off the cuff, unexpected, and I'm like, wow, you know, like those are, you can tell, you know, we're both passionate about it. So no, I think it was a bit, a 21-year-old me was opened up there, you know. So
aye.
So
I mean, you're talking about sorry, just to briefly
of course,
you talk about kind of like being with your 18-year-old, like a mate that you were with when you were 18, and like still laughing about stuff. I suppose that you carry forward the good parts of yourself, and of work on the parts that need work. Do you know what I mean? So there's no, like, you can still go back to those parts of you that are from that, I suppose, from that younger self, but
it's like jettisoning the bad but keeping the good. Sometimes though, like my mate Jamie, he has like, you know, like a hard drive with like all these pictures and stuff from when we were younger and that, and then there's like the MSN chat, and I look at it sometimes and I'm thinking, or like, well, if we're maybe having like a party in his house or whatever, and we'll be looking at it, and I'll be like, my god, like our pattern has not changed in like 15 years. You know, like I'm writing, like I says, you know, you're writing emails and stuff, trying to be professional, and then you see like that, and I'm like, that's just exactly how our WhatsApp chat is. It's just like, you know, like silly memes and stuff. So one of the things I wanted to kind of touch on is just and it was when I went onto it, it's the acoustic kind of cover of Back to Life you done, Broadscope Studios, mate. That is brilliant. Like, how did that come about?
Thanks for saying that, mate. So yeah, that was with my mate Sean DiFrancesco, who is a good mate of mine. I kind of met him through the Ali and the Parade stuff. He basically did all our music videos, and we made like quite a lot of them with him. So we just kind of became really good friends through that process. And I think after that we became like mates. Do you know what I mean? Like, we hung out a lot after that, and then we didn't really work together for a while, but just because we were hanging out and we were being pals and everything. And then we've kind of started like working together on a kind of like skills exchange kind of like scenario. So like, me and him make music together, and for him, for his other stuff, and then he kind of helps me out with videos and everything like that. And I wanted a visual thing, I suppose. I wanted something visual to go with the new song, and that version, that acoustic version, that's kind of how the song was written. I like to kind of make sure that a song is a good song before I kind of like get it down and add all the bells and whistles and stuff in terms of production and everything. So yeah, that's kind of how the song was written, and that's how I like to write the songs mostly, is just with myself and like an instrument, whether it be a guitar or a piano. So
like
I
wanted back.
Yeah. I suppose it does change per song, but that's how that one was kind of. That's how that one was kind of written after I got out that passport control key.
I know. At least it wasn't Faro. Some people stuck there for 3 hours, man. So
I know. So exactly. But yeah, so I was keen to have something visual to go along with the tune, and I just had the idea of doing something stripped back. And doing it in a cool place, and we managed to find Broadscope Studios, which is like East End East End of Glasgow,
Nice
and Sean came and filmed that with me, and I'm really grateful for him for doing that, because it's always a pleasure to work with your mates, because it doesn't feel like work really. So yeah, we had a good day doing that, and it's cool to kind of have that version out of the song, because it paints the song in a different light. And I think you kind of listen to the lyrics differently, I think, in that, at least I do. I think it comes across like that. You listen to the lyrics differently when it's in that environment, in that context, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's like, I mean, you know, it's like kind of raw. If you get what I mean, it's like kind of raw emotions, and the other song, the other version, sorry, of Back to Life, feels quite like, you know, uplifting, and then the other one is kind of stripped back, more raw, kind of more emotional, and I think they both stand on their own, which you know, you can't say that about many, which is good, you know, like, so
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I think sorry to cut you off. I suppose the story of the song is kind of like being down and picking yourself back up, and I did think that kind of like the full production version is maybe the context of that. You maybe feel the kind of uplifting, the kind of like phoenix
it's like the
rising
back end
from the
of the
ashes.
story. Yeah.
When I think with the acoustic version you maybe hear the front end a bit more. Do you know what I mean?
Precise.
Which is quite
no,
cool.
100%. Yeah, no, it's like, it's like the end of the journey and the beginning of the journey, and I think they both kind of go hand in hand. Like, you know, like I think if you listen to one, you owe the other one a listen, because then you're getting the complete version, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. That's a good way of saying. I'm gonna steal that. I'm gonna steal that quote.
It's yours, Ali. You take it. But no, that's it. No, is it? Honestly, it's great that way. Just obviously, kind of, I'm aware of like times and stuff, and you know, like I don't want to keep you too long, because I feel like, as I say, we'd end up speaking all night, because it just seems to be going that way. But coming obviously up, we're in the kind of height of the sort of getting to the height of the summer. Hopefully the weather stays good. Is there any gigs or anything coming up that you want to plug?
Mate, do you know what? I've got no. I would love to plug gigs. I've got no gigs in the diary at the moment. As I said, like.
So I was going to go to Big Day Out in September, perhaps. Is that maybe happening? Or is that been cancelled? I wasn't sure. Big Day Out. It was on the 23rd of September, perhaps, in Edinburgh.
Oh, is that maybe from? Is that maybe from a few years back?
Oh, is it? Sorry, man. Because it came up a bit brighter. I wrote all this down, man. I am what a fool. But yeah.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, no, not. That was a few years back.
Yeah,
now,
that was 20. I've checked in my notes and then followed the link that I'd left for myself. Yeah, 23. Oh well,
that's all good. No, I think like I'm wanting to kind of focus on new music at the moment, man, to be honest. And I've got a few things like in the pipeline, like nearly kind of done. So I wanna focus on finishing those and get some more stuff out before the end of the year, and then maybe kind of I'm really fortunate to have a bunch of good friends who are good musicians, and good friends who I've played with before.
Yeah.
And to kind of, I would love to do a similar live kind of session to the Broadscope Studios video, but like full band. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think that would be really cool. So that's kind of the next few ideas that I'm kind of working on. But as I say, you know, I'm going to try and spin those plates amongst all the other plates that I'm spinning.
I think it's very easy to, when you start kind of getting back into something, to then go like too far. It's about kind of pacing yourself, because you could go full sprint, and then I always find like I'd make myself out. I could fire out literally like 100 emails and not hear back for anybody. Whereas like I was like, right, I'd said to you earlier, I wrote a list, done it that way, done it the proper way, and built it naturally, you know, like, so you it's about kind of like you're saying, the plates is the best example. It's the best example for a reason, you know. So no, absolutely, man, take as long as you need, because the fruits bear that, you know. So
yeah, it's like I'm really enjoying making stuff again, and I'm super grateful that I enjoy that, and I'm also, mate, like, you know, I'm super grateful that people like yourself reach out and you know, like you're doing like a creative pursuit with this podcast, so like, you know, you're helping me out and I'm helping you out as well, you know. So it's
you'd mentioned kind of relationships earlier with Sean DeFranco. Is that no? Don't Sean? Is that right, Franco? Sean
DiFrancesco. All your listeners and your followers, all your listeners and followers should go and check him out.
Yeah, sorry. So Sean DiFrancesco, and I was going to say earlier, and I was like, I don't know if it's the right time, but what you're saying there, it's about kind of collaborative, kind of almost symbiotic relationships. Everybody needs to help everybody else. There's no point kind of living in an ivory tower, because it's just not the way. You know, like everybody needs to, you know, help one another, because like a rising tide raises all ships. You know, so no, I'm a firm believer in that. So no, that's what it's about, man.
100%, mate. 100%. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Well, listen, I've kept you for you know, nearly I'd said an hour, you know, half an hour, 45 minutes. We're into the 50th minute now, so I thank you so much for the time, and thanks for, you know, obviously setting up the kind of recording on your end, because the kind of the gremlins had crept in, so we're doing good, mate.
Good, mate. No worries. Thanks for having me on again. I really appreciate it. It's been class chatting to you.
No, well, as always, obviously, you can get us at the Whisky Sour Hour Facebook, Instagram. Contact at the Whisky Sour Hour if you're wanting to get in touch that way, and we're all on all providers, you know, Spotify, Amazon, that works, YouTube. So just to kind of sign off, I've been Thomas Waddle, this has been Ali Robertson, and this has been the Whisky Sour Hour. Cheers.